protection, because it's not just us as parents, it's not just us as Sunday school teachers, but it is all of us who are here to not only learn what the gospel has to say and what God has to say, but also to protect our children. Yeah, so so we would like, as NBCC, to develop and create a culture where our children feel safe in an environment that is meant to be safe. And so we can, So I'm just going to go to the next slide. So that's our purpose. The purpose of having this is because what we have learned, we want to bring it to the community. Yeah. So the first point I would say is permission and respect. Okay, so what would that mean? First thing is, before we approach our kids or anybody's child, to ask permission. So this does not just mean asking a parent permission. If it's a toddler, if it's a baby, you would normally ask a parent, hey, can I carry your baby? Can I, touch your child? And yes, that is what we have to do. But there's also another portion of permission from the child itself. So you may see a baby who, for example, like you hold a child and the child will immediately move back or cry. Now this is a child's way of saying, I'm not comfortable. And I think we need to learn to respect that. Yeah, so respect what a child is trying to say to us. Respect that, okay, they don't want to be touched. They don't want to be played with right now because they're feeling uncomfortable. And so if we can develop that culture of, okay, you're not comfortable, I will not come and touch you. Also touching the cheek, touching, we go and directly give a child a hug. Now an older child may not say something back to you, but I think we as an adult should learn that we should, hey, can I give you a hug? Or instead of a hug, can I give you a high five? Or can I shake your hand and greet you? Because yes, we need to talk to our children and we want them to feel safe and a part of the community. So we of course don't want our children to be like, touch me not, say, don't touch my child. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying, could we do it in a way that the child feels safe? Okay. So that's point one. Personal space matters. Okay, so this is again comfort and boundaries for our children. So now in this point, I want to say, most of us who have heard about good touch and bad touch, yeah, that's something that they're like broadcasting everywhere, teaching in our schools. So now they're calling it safe and unsafe touch. Okay, so what is safe or good touch? If somebody comes and says, hey, hello, how are you doing? And you tap the child on the back or, give them a warm hug. You know the child. You give a warm hug. It's safe. The child is not feeling threatened in any way. You're a familiar face. I know you. I'm fine with you touching me. Now, what is bad touch? Bad touch is when someone touches a child or a person and they immediately instinct says, I'm not comfortable with this. I want to run. This is hurting me. This is making me feel scared. That comes under bad touch. Now, this is an emotion that even you and I feel. Correct? It's not just our children. You and I feel this emotion. So when we feel this emotion, what do we say? If a man or a woman comes and just gives us a hug and we don't know them, or we may know them but not that well, we may just say, hey, hi, and put our hand forward. That's the general thing what we would do. Or if someone we're really uncomfortable with, we would turn around and walk away or say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. But what does a child do? A child's normal instinct is to just stand there and allow it to happen. That's for an older child. A smaller child, maybe Zane, Rio's age, will cry and turn away or scream or sometimes try to hit you back. Now, these are things that we have seen happen. This is the way of them saying, I don't want you to touch me. So it's very easy to see the good touch and a bad touch. But then there's an in-between touch, which is called a confused touch. And that's where each one of us come in. Because many times a child goes from good touch or may feel bad touch, but no one's listening. We are saying, hey, we are adults. We are not meaning any bad. We are not meaning harm. I want to play with you. A child is crying, okay, I'm going to take you from your mama. I'm helping your mama, so I'm just going to take you. And they'll be screaming away. But what is happening to the child? They're getting confused. Now, this is bad touch, which is feel like they're making it good touch. An adult is telling me this is good, but I am feeling bad. So what am I supposed to do? It's confusing. Okay, and many times in our Indian culture, we all grew up confused about this whole good touch and bad touch because we have to do what our adults say. Yeah, that's how we've all grown up. We have to respect our adults. Mommy says, go give this person a hug, go sit on uncle's lap. We do that because it's so ingrained in us that we have to do it. But it's confusing. So let's not bring that into our next generation of being confused. Now, how do we play a role? When we are confusing our children, although with all the respect or the love in our hearts, we are doing it to our children. What happens? In church, okay, they're still in a safe space. We hope they're still in a safe space because we are God-fearing people. But what happens when they go outside? As they grow, a baby who is like 10 months, 11 months, goes to 1 year, they start screaming, no one is listening, goes to 2 years, again they'll start hitting you, no one is listening. Then they go to 5 years or 6 years. Now they're in school. It's becoming normal. It's becoming a routine. In case somebody does touch them in a bad way, or what is called grooming, where someone comes in and touches them and they say, hey, this is happening all the time, this is normal. And the normal can lead to something bad happening and they'll just think it's normal. So that's why we as a community, I would request if we don't confuse our children, go from confused touch and put them in a vulnerable place because they are going to be outside. And for many of our children, most of our toddlers and babies, this is the only community gathering. There is no, other social events. This is like every Sunday. So if every Sunday, if you're going to make them feel confused, by the time they're 7 or 8, they're going to be very, very confused as to what the touch is. Yeah, so for that reason, we really want to foster making sure that we take consent before we touch a child and listening to what they have to say, whether it is a baby, their way of communicating, whether it's an older child, or even if it's a 17-year-old, because they are still children. We don't have teenagers in church right now, but tomorrow, if there is a teenager who walks in, we can't just say, hey, you're a grown-up. No, they're still a child, yeah? Watchful eyes. Now, I'd request that all of us keep our eyes open to what is happening around us with our children. Our children, once they come into, after Sunday school, they're playing around, we're all having tea or coffee, we are all enjoying conversations, but can we just keep a watch out as, hey, what is happening? Are the children still in a safe area? Is anybody walking out the door and going and wandering off where parents don't know because everyone's just socializing? So if you see something like that, bring it up to the parents. Or just keep an eye open as to what is happening. Okay. Together always, 2-adult rule. Now this is a rule, the 2-adult rule, it means no one person is allowed to be with a child alone at any time. It has to be 2 or more people. This is something that we have enforced in Sunday school. We have a Sunday school teacher and we have an assistant. So it's always 2 adults with our children. If the child is a toddler, parents are always there. They are not left alone. The same applies here. If we see a child alone with one individual who is not a parent or is not entrusted by the parent, please bring it to the parent's notice. And if you find yourself alone with a child, bring them to a place where everybody is. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, speak up for safety and reporting concerns to protect our children. So now here there are 2 aspects. There's a critical and non-critical place. If you see a child doing something that will immediately bring them harm, say putting fingers in a socket or walking out the door or banging against the glass, immediately, of course, you have to stop the child and point them back to their parents. Hey, does your mom and dad know you're walking out alone? Can you come back inside and go and be with your parents? Or if they're going to put their hand in the socket, redirect their attention. That is a critical. There's no time. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to call the parents and the child has wandered off. So that's one place where we have to use our discernment and say, hey, okay, this is an emergency situation. I react. The second is not critical. You see a child misbehaving with another child or an adult saying something, or if you feel the child is uncomfortable, go up to the parent and say, hey, I don't think your child is comfortable there. Let the parents deal with it. Okay? Okay. There's also another point. Yeah. Here, concerns about adult behavior towards children. Now, this is something that we do not want to see in our church or on our premises, but this is something we have to address. Okay? This building is not just a church building, it's also a commercial space. People who we do not know are walking in and out to the washrooms, walking up and down. We don't always know who's walking into church, who's walking out of church. So we have to be vigilant about where our children are, what they're doing, who is with them. Yeah, so if you see a child being harmed in any way, whether it is somebody we do not know is talking to them, giving them a hug, you're feeling they're looking uncomfortable, bring it to the parents, bring it to the leadership. If you see somebody who's a regular member of the church doing something that you do not feel is appropriate, bring it to the parents, bring it to the leadership. But do not keep quiet. By law, by our own God-given conscience, we have to protect our children. Yeah, so that's it from me. Thank you.